When we are born, we are swaddled and snuggled, whispered to, fussed over, tickled and cuddled. When we grow up, things get muddled, and here it is Christmas time.
It's Christmas time. The Roller on the Barrel Vintage Baseball Podcast, talking to vintage baseball players from coast to coast, border to border. I haven't said that line in a long time. It felt good. It felt right. You know what else you haven't heard in a long time? My co-host, Rudy Swampbox Frias. Rudy, how you doing?
Two episodes in a row. I mean, this is becoming a habit.
It's supposed to. It's supposed to be a weekly habit. We brought you in with Here It Is Christmas Time by Kevin Bacon. I thought this anyway, we love this song. Rudy, do we not love this song?
I mean, I'm just angry that Kevin Bacon not only is just a really great actor and an icon of the 80s, but he also has a great voice and released a hot Christmas jam last year.
So I thought that was a Bacon Brothers production, but it is not. It's Kevin Bacon with the old 97s, who this is on the soundtrack for the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas movie, if you saw that. The old 97s have a song on there too that's really awesome. And but I learned of the old 97s from an episode of Scrubs.
Yes.
Yes. So that's that's one of the things that Rudy and I have in common in Scrubs, obviously, because he's my mocha bear. Rudy, you got a new job. Could you tell everybody how it's going for you?
Oh, it's going great. The job is great. The work has purpose, and it's really something I'm passionate about. The hours are terrible, and I'm currently at work right now. So I don't even have like my setup. I don't have my microphone. I don't feel like a podcaster, but I mean, this is most important to me. So I made it happen, but work is going great.
Excellent. And I got your Christmas card in the mail. You have a beautiful family. It's right in the prime spot on the refrigerator.
Yes.
A lot of people got to fight for that prime spot on the refrigerator, and you, my friend, are in it.
Yes.
Before we bring our guest in for tonight, let me tell you and Rudy what's coming up.
Yeah, I can't wait to
coming
hear
up
about
on
it.
the show. Matt, now I'm going to screw up his name. Cotignola.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so before we say Cotignola, we're going to talk about this with Matt about how his name is very intimidating, even though it's not at all, and it's scary, and I just scared myself right into screwing up the name. But before we talk to Matt, let me tell you what's coming up here before we take our annual Christmas break of Christmas and January off until we come back in February. On December 11th, Rudy knows this one, we have a gentleman by the name of Zachary Clary coming in. He's a contributor to the Smithsonian Magazine, as well as many other publications and blogs and such. He wrote an article on the last day of August, and the article is called "The Baseball Player Turned Spy Who Went Undercover to Assassinate the Nazis' Top Nuclear Scientist." So we're going to talk to Zachary about the article he wrote. It's from World War II. You probably got to gather that from the headline. And how this baseball player, and I have not read the material yet because I like to wait till the week of, so it's fresh. So, because I have the memory of a dog. And then on December 18th, which is the following Monday, we have Professor Harvey Rosenfeld coming into the show. He is an author of a book called Baseball's Bastards, Flawed Diamonds of Our National Pastime. This is a book, when you think, travesties in the World Series, basically. So you think of the Black Sox scandal. Well, There's a whole lot other more scandals than just that one that have happened in the World Series. One of the topics we'll be talking is about the 1934 Detroit Tigers World Series. Because something crazy went on during that. So, and he'll be here on the 18th to pump his book, basically. Okay. And then Rudy, just in today, you're going to love this. Very next night on December 19th, Tuesday, we have Jim Basala and Brian Dooling from the Deep River Grinders.
Oh my gosh.
We have Jim Basala is the original grinder.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ready. We're going to need some kind of content parental warning before that episode. You can't get those two together.
So that'll be our last episode until the break on December 19th. We'll also be recording a Christmas episode like we do every year. And we'll also be recording an all-women's episode before the end of the year. So won't that be interesting? Rudy and I won't even be there for that. It'll be all women. Today is December 4th, so I have to move Hans Gruber down to December 4th. Falling. Okay. And now let's bring in our guest, Matt Cotignola. I nailed it, right, Matt?
Beautiful. Excellent job.
Nickname by is Chaos. Matt, like we were saying before we hit record, your name is not scary, but it looks like it could be, and it intimidates people. And then it keeps Cotignola. It's not Cotignola. It's Cotignola.
The Italian pronunciation would be Cotignola, but
Well, that's not so good when he does it.
you know,
meatball.
but people don't speak like that anymore unless if I'm in Epcot in Florida, at the Italian Pavilion. Yeah,
you've seen the Italian guy
Cotignola.
trying. Matt, have you seen at Epcot the Italian guy climb chairs as he builds? He's putting a chair on top of a chair on top of a chair, and he's climbing it as he's building it, and he gets way up there. Oh, and they got Italian music going at the same time. He's got the mustache, the whole 9 yards going.
I haven't caught that. No, we've been a couple times. We go to that the Via Napoli, the pizza place all the time. And it's, I always get a kick when the waiters, Cotignola, table for 4. I go, oh, it's music to my ears when you hear it that way. But being a school teacher, I hear my name butchered all the time. So it's refreshing to hear it anyway pronounced correctly. So it's good stuff.
Rudy, say his name.
Sorry, I was
You're
on
muted.
mute. Yeah, I can nail this. Are you ready? Matt.
There you go. Never wrong with that.
Matthew Cotignola from the Atlantic Baseball Club of Brooklyn, New York, a club I'm somewhat familiar with. I don't know if you've ever even heard of this show before, Matt, but Anthony Canino is our second most downloaded guest we've ever had on the show, and we're at like 220 episodes, so that's pretty good.
All right, I'll tell him I'm coming for his spot.
Oh, I love it.
I'll text him after this.
Yeah.
You got no shot, but that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I was, we tried to contact people from all over the country. So sometimes people contact us and say, oh, you're a little Midwest heavy. Well, Rudy and I would be a little Midwest heavy because we're in the Midwest. So also, and we know, that's where we know most of the people. And then I get people once in a while saying you're a little East Coast heavy. Well, that's where the best baseball is, for one, in my opinion. And I've gotten to know a lot of the East Coast teams. I've made a couple of trips out there. Rudy used to play with the Gothams for a season, and he's pretty familiar with the teams, the big ones, at least. Rudy,
Yeah,
I don't need to speak for you. Yeah.
No, I think since 1998, I've been familiar with and friends with many people in the East Coast, and getting the chance to play there for a whole summer, loved it. Yeah, man, I love East Coast baseball.
So, but we do want to hit all areas of the country. We really do, and we really try to. When I'm booking guests, I contact people from all different regions, and for whatever reason, the East Coast and the Midwest, they always come through, and not so much everywhere else. So I can only do what I can do. I gotta interview people that agree to do it. And it doesn't matter where they're from, but the East Coast guys and girls are always so accommodating to the show. So I just want to give a big shout out, even though, should I say, is that still a thing? Do people do shout outs? Is there a new word?
Nope, I still think shout out works. You sound so young and hip when you say it, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to give the shout outs to East Coast Baseball. Love you guys up and down. Okay, back to Matt. Matt, so I was going through my normal procedure of picking a guest, and I found it. You know what I saw? It just happened recently.
Yes.
I saw a picture of you standing at the base of the Rocky statue, something I got a chance to do last summer, or 2 summers ago now. And you're standing next to Sylvester Stallone himself. Tell me everything.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for allowing me the opportunity to be on the show. It's quite an honor for me, and definitely super excited to take part in this. But now to the part that I know you want to hear. So, Sly, if I were to show you the rest of this basement, there's a whole other area that's just devoted to Rocky. And, since childhood, my parents gave me, a set of boxing gloves. I was running around trying to be Rocky, reenacting the scene from Rocky 2 where, I'm getting up at the count of, at 9, just getting to my feet while Apollo falls down and you get crowned the champion. Yo, Adrian, I did it. And I've been a Rocky fanatic my whole life. So much that when I got engaged to my wife, I proposed to her and I said, "Hey, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind marrying me too much." And my firstborn son, my firstborn son, when he was when we were going through names, my wife was like, I want to. Let's name him Matthew. I was like, how about Rocky? Let's go Rocky for his first name. Well, let's not name him Matthew. Matthew's a great name and all, but let's go for Rocky. So we settled on Matthew Rocky Cotignola. So my oldest boy's middle name is Rocky. And I have another boy who is he's 8 years old, and he is probably the craziest of all of us in terms of he is doing every Rocky training montage while I'm working out in my basement, and he's running around the house like crazy. So we are a Rocky family, and meeting Sylvester Stallone has been a huge bucket list item. And the story kind of goes back to, I've met all of my sports heroes. I don't know what it is, but it's like one of the things I like to do is I just like to go out and try and meet, Dan Marino. I know you're a Dolphin fan, so I got to meet Dan Marino. He's my favorite player of all time. Jose Canseco, although he's probably not, the most respected man across baseball. He's my favorite baseball player. We got to meet him. Hulk Hogan, my favorite wrestler, got to meet him. But Sly was always this guy that just seemed unachievable and to meet. But you always felt such a connection to him because I live on Long Island, and Philadelphia is only a couple hours away, and I go to Philly quite often. We've taken part in the Rocky Run in Philly. We've done tours of, when the GPS first came out, we went to Mighty Mick's gym. We went to the Front Street gym from the Creed movies. We've seen all the different sites, his apartment buildings, places he's lived in, different movies. I mean, you name it, we've seen it. And going through all of that, it's you feel like you're part of the movie. So, meeting Sly, became just a goal of mine. And last December, it's almost a year to the date, I flew out to Los Angeles to take part in this meet and greet opportunity. It was a dinner. It was called Experience with Sylvester Stallone. And I went out with my boy, my oldest boy. My wife was like, thought I was crazy, but I said, listen, this is like bucket list stuff. Let me go. And, I said, we're going to put it on a charge card. And I said, this can take care of my next 30 birthday gifts. You don't have to get me another thing for the rest of my life. This is it. Right. And we went to LA to go and meet Sly. And during the event, he had gotten through the photo ops. My son and I were waiting online, and we started to hear, he's gone, he's gone. And like the people were like, he left. So he left the event before we had the chance to meet him. And we were like, we were devastated. It was our first time ever going to California. We had such an amazing time, my son and I. It was just the two of us. Tried In-N-Out Burger for the first time. We were in our glory. And, we did all sorts of different, crazy things that, another story probably this could be a whole nother episode. But we were so devastated. And, we found out later that the event coordinators overbooked and oversold tickets, and that was part of it. So, I just was, I couldn't believe what had happened. I was like, I just couldn't believe it. We were so close. We were so close. We actually went to another instance where we got so close was his brother, Frank Stallone. This is kind of a funny story. Frank Stallone had a concert at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City. And we got tickets to go to the concert. My wife's like, come on, maybe we'll go. Because they had advertised Sylvester Stallone was supposed to be there. And he introduced Frank. So it was the first time I'd ever been in the same room with him. So I was just so excited. So my boys actually got called up out of Frank after singing Take It Back in the song. He says, hey, because my youngest had the Apollo Creed Uncle Sam hat. And Frank Stallone called them out after Take It Back. We were just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going on. And they were shooting for the Paramount show, the Stallone show. And after the show was over, they asked us to sign waivers and, to use the boys' footage and whatnot. And we were like, it would be great to meet Stallone. They're like, hold on, let's see what we could do. And I thought, happened. And of course, what happens was like, oh, he went to his room. He's done for the night. I'm like, so that's strike two. So I had 2 strikes on me. And recently, so Sylvester Stallone's shop did a contest for an opportunity to meet Sylvester Stallone, take a picture in front of the Rocky statue. And my wife is like, this is a long shot. I'm like, listen, I am going to tag, because the part of the contest was tag 3 people on every post that you had. I said, I tagged all of my friends on Facebook, I think 450 people. I said, and I pleaded with them. I said, please follow this shop, do what you can do. And teaching, I'm a school teacher, and I had to turn on all my notifications for Instagram, all this other stuff. And then I got a message from the shop. Congratulations. It popped up on my screen. And of course, Instagram is blocked at school. So I was like, am I being hacked? What am I seeing here? Someone played a joke on me. And I had to drive off campus after the period was over. And then I read the full message, and it said, congratulations, you have won a golden ticket. So I felt like Willy Wonka, Charlie Bucket. And, you have this opportunity to go and meet Sylvester Stallone. And, they forwarded some emails, and they said, all right, show up yesterday, which was December the 3rd, right at the Rocky steps. At the base of the steps, there's going to be an experience like he spoke at the, they dedicated the day, December 3rd, they called it Rocky Day. And he came around like 11:45. It was raining, it was cold. So that was an interesting experience, but it was all worth it in the end. And he spoke, and then other people from the city spoke, and they gave him a key to the city. They officially declared Rocky Day in Philadelphia, and then he started to head over, and he, cut the ribbon to the new Sly Stallone shop that's set up right next to the Rocky statue in Philly,
Oh.
and they walked him to the statue, and I was the second person online to meet him. Another gentleman was in front of me that was also at that event in Los Angeles. So the two of us actually, we had the opportunity to be in a VIP area for his speech, and we both chose not to do that and be there and just wait online to meet him, because I said, I am not missing out this time on this chance. This is it.
Right.
I said, I am waiting here. That's it. I'm not moving. It's good. And so they ushered us in, and then there was the man himself. So I guess you want me to keep going. I apologize.
No,
rambling too
do
much?
not apologize. Every detail, please continue.
All right. So my family part of the photo op process, because they were very strict with not including extra people to try and keep it down to a certain number, I guess. So they were able to follow me up to the point. All of a sudden, Chevy Chase from Christmas Vacation is standing there too. He was there. So Chevy Chase was like 2 feet from me. And I'm going, oh, Clark Griswold. And I was ready to ask a picture, take a picture with him. And then they're calling me up for Sly. So I said, all right, sorry, Clark. I gotta go meet Sly right now. And Sly, I just was like, I don't know what it was. I walked right into him. He pulled me into his shoulder. It was like, I don't know what how to explain it. It was just surreal. And he's going, thank you for coming. You hear his voice, thank you for coming. And I, then they're like, all right, smile, take the picture, and then doing the fist up photo. And I'm like, Sly, thank you so much for doing this. That little boy over there, his name is Matthew Rocky, and that little boy over there is my training partner. So he waved at my boys, and I said, just God bless you. Thank you so much. And then they usher you out. They give you your little QR code for the the photo. And then I had to sign another waiver for the Paramount show. So I don't know if they'll use that footage at some point, but then I felt like I was floating on a cloud. It was something else. And that was the meet and greet. It was very, very quick, but it still hasn't quite settled yet for me that it actually happened. It's like I'm in shock still. So
Okay, and now Rudy and I are going to pepper you with the Rocky questions. Here we go. I'll go first.
All right.
Rudy. In hindsight, are you glad the first two things fell through so you could get his picture at the Rocky statue?
This was like, I'm a person of faith, so I do believe that, God has a funny way of, making things work out for you, like when you want something so bad that, going through what I thought was just a horrific thing, because the positives of it, and I always try to find the positives of everything, was we had an amazing trip, my son and I, and it's a trip that we'll never ever forget. Like, we got to go to the Gold's Gym in Venice, and it's funny enough, when we got there, they said, "Oh, you just missed Arnold Schwarzenegger." So we just missed Arnold, but before meeting Sly, we met Arnold in New York City signing a copy of his book. So go figure, like, that came back. We got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we just feel that, like, I don't know, always in my heart, I felt like I said, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And what my wife was like, she's like, listen, don't get your hopes up for this thing. I said, no, I am taking every single person that I know. I said, it has to happen. It has to happen. And sure as anything, it happens. So, I couldn't have asked for a better photo op situation than with the man at the statue. That's doesn't get better than that. So, yeah,
Rudy.
It was,
I mean, it sounds like you had sensory overload when you got to see and meet Sylvester Stallone in front of that iconic statue. So I forgive you, and you get all the grace if you cannot answer this question, because I would just be overloaded with all the sensory going on. What does he smell like?
Like he smells mainly like a jungle cat. I mean rat. Oh no, jungle rat or cat. Beast, he smells like beast aftershave.
Matt, what is your favorite Rocky movie?
That's a great question. So I kind of go back and forth where younger version of me was always Rocky 2 because I liked the aspect of him winning the title. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more of an appreciation for the first one. So the first one is like a 1A and 1B, but the most sentimental one to me is Balboa, the sixth one.
Ooh.
Or I just that movie was actually the first one. I'm 40 years old. It's the first one I was able to ever see in theaters. And it came out the year that my wife and I got married. So we actually came back from our honeymoon. Our anniversary's coming up on the 16th. And we came back from our honeymoon. And I had plans to go from the airport to the movie theater to see Rocky Balboa. We were so just excited to see it. And the airline lost my luggage. I wasn't able to go. I was so frustrated. So we ended up going after Christmas, but then I saw it 3 times in the theaters. But that movie, and it's funny because when you listen to Sly's interviews, that's the one, other than the first one, that he's probably the most proud of. And for me, that movie just, was just fantastic. The speech he gives to his son outside the restaurant. We went to that restaurant after meeting him. I made reservations to go to the Victor Cafe, which is the where they used for Adrian's restaurant. And being in there, you felt like you're in a movie set. So I told my son, I was like, I remember when you could fit in the palm of my hands, And I spoke right in that cross section where Rocky delivered that speech. So, to have 2 boys, that was it was just surreal to be in the footsteps of that iconic moment. So I would say 1, 2, 6. But to me, every single Rocky movie, it's my favorite franchise of all time. Like there's no other movie series that holds a candle to it. I mean, I love movies. I love Back to the Future. You name it. Die Hard. I have that advent calendar that you have as well with Hans Gruber, which, by the way, when we were in Los Angeles, we were right next to the Nakatomi Tower. That's where the event was taking place. So I was going, welcome to the party, pal. I must have said that about 17,000 times in Los Angeles. But yeah, I love them all. So
I'm going to have to ask you to go ahead and rank them 1, 2, 6. Finish it out.
1, 2, 6. Probably 3, 4, 5. Because I love that. 1, 2, 6, 3, 4, 5. Are we including the creeds?
No, we don't have to include the creeds. No, we don't want to complicate things.
Well, the first Creed was fantastic, but then it started to go down a little bit. But
as it does. 1, 2, 6, 3, 4, 5. Rudy, what's yours?
My ranking?
Yeah.
2, 4, 3, 1, 5. No, 3, 6, 1, 5.
2, 4, 3, 6, 1, 5.
Yep.
I'm just writing mine down right now.
What's yours?
Decide. I'm thinking right now. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. Mine's 4, 2, 3, 1, 6, 5. Yeah. So I just love Rocky 4. I've always, since the first day I saw it, I'm like, this is one of the best. This is one of the most intense movies I've ever seen. The way it made me feel, I'm like this. I didn't feel that way in Rocky 1 and Rocky 2. You feel that I feel a certain way during. Those are longer, more acting. There's a lot more acting in 1 and 2. In 4, it just pummels my senses, and I love it. Also, I'm Eskimo buddies with Mr. T, so 3 has a has a place in my heart. And we all agreed on 5, and that's the worst piece of crap I ever. Anyway, Rocky 3, first movie I ever saw by myself at a movie theater. We had a movie theater that was, I want to say, about 6 blocks away in a small town. And after the movie was done, I ran home, and I'm throwing punches and bunches on the way home, running. I was so geeked and out of my mind. So we all have an appreciation of Rocky, and I think most of the world does. Those are amazing stories.
I have to
Love
ask
them
you guys
all.
a question. Did you like the
Sure.
director's cut? Did you watch that one for Rocky 4?
No.
I don't think I've ever seen the director's cut.
So on
I
Amazon,
guess
still,
I guess I
yeah.
wouldn't know if I've seen it, so to speak. Like if it wouldn't just run
Changes
across
a lot.
television, would it?
No, so during COVID, he spent. You can buy it on Amazon Prime now. I think
Oh yeah,
can
no, I haven't
to
seen it.
purchase it.
Nope.
But spent all of the time in COVID when he wasn't making any movies to redo and remaster that movie where it almost feels like you're watching a new movie. It goes from an hour and 30 minutes where the original movie's done in a flash to this becomes a 2-hour spectacle, and he changes the intro, the whole thing. But it's an interesting movie. It's a little different. Still strikes the same chord and all that stuff. But I definitely, as a high school history teacher, I use the clashing of the gloves from the opening of Rocky 4 as my intro to the Cold War every single year. And I tell the kids, I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna start doing burpees in front of you all right now, because when you hear Eye of the Tiger, I think you just start doing jumping jacks or whatever it is. It's incredible. That whole soundtrack from that movie is you know, that's just spectacular. So
You
Uh,
you are dancing around two questions that I want to ask a little bit. So let's get into the most recent one that triggered it for me. Music is a critical part of all the Rocky movies. All right. Now let me ask you this question. Throughout all the Rocky movies, what's the one song? And you don't have to, it's not like you're picking your favorite. It's not a Sophie's choice. What's the one song that you will like get pumped up for every time?
oh boy. Let's see. That's a great one, because there's different songs, different moments. I
Yep.
feel like Eye of the Tiger, Gonna Fly Now is, I love them. I hear them so often. So maybe like Burning Heart. I love pulling up to school with It's a Burning Heart. That's a great one. But Hearts on Fire, I think, is the one that if I need
oh,
that
that's
extra
the
rep,
one.
if I need to make that extra press or run extra fast or finish something, Hearts on Fire is the one, you know?
That's the right answer.
Yes.
We actually had in an earlier episode, we had a big Hearts on Fire outro to one of our episodes. I was just yelling a bunch of stuff. It was amazing. This is the exact song I would have said to answer that question.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it just builds and builds and builds and
That song, when we went to that Frank Stallone concert, John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band opened for Frank Stallone, and they played Hearts on Fire. My son was doing push-ups in the aisle. It was just surreal. Again, hearing that song live, had that Stallone introducing them. It was like you just can't beat it. That's it. That's the one.
Frank Stallone, incredible career. I wonder how Sly feels about being the second most popular Stallone brother.
He is a character, Frank. He's funny, you know. But his concert was fantastic. He was really, really good. So,
did you meet Jose Canseco on the Bigfoot tour?
So I met him a couple of different signings. Just first time was he may have just written Juiced, the book that changed baseball. So I think I saw him on around that time frame, and then a couple other smaller shows. So I just, like I met him once when I was with my wife, and we no children. Then I met him once with just my oldest, and then I said, all right, I want to meet him one more time with both of my boys, so I can get that experience of being with them for him. And he's kind of like, he's an oddball. He's not the most well respected, but in the '80s, growing up, he was the man in baseball. So I, Dean Emma, my teammate, makes fun of me because he makes fun of my swing. He's like, stop swinging like Canseco. In 1864, it doesn't really help you too much to swing like Canseco. I get a lot of B7s, but it's fun.
No, Dream Bucket's just jealous. He wants to swing that cool.
There you go.
Matt, you said you're a high school history teacher, and it's also noted that you teach sports in your American history class. Explain that to us. Tell us some of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. I went into becoming a high school history teacher, have a deep love of history. Both my grandfathers were World War II veterans, so I got into history just by sitting at the dinner table for holidays, listening to their stories. And when I went to college, initially I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. I wanted to be on WFAN, which is our local sports radio station, and be like Mike and the Mad Dog and have a radio show. But I said, it was going to be a lot, the traveling, all that stuff. I said, you know what? But teaching is probably really where I would love to go. I had a high school English teacher who was my baseball coach. He had such a tremendous impact on me. And, it was through the relationships I forged with those teachers that inspired me to want to become a teacher. So I knew that I had a love of history and a love of sports. And I taught U.S. history. I've taught all the classes you could teach in a high school setting, whether it be global history, 1, 2, economics. I've taught participation in government, U.S. history. I had a director who was retiring. Actually, the year of COVID, she was retiring right before that whole craziness went down. And I said, I had been playing vintage baseball for a little bit. And I said, we really need to have a class, an elective at the high school, a sports history class. She's like, what does that mean? I said, well, I play old time baseball. So what's old time baseball? I said, well, she actually works with Old Bethpage Village Restoration. She helped get that armory that's there not far. I don't know. You've been to Old Bethpage, right, guys? For an event? Have you ever been out our way to Old Bethpage?
I brought the podcast out there
two
summers ago for the Doc Adams Festival.
Beautiful. Okay, excellent. So yeah, and, she's a very big into that historical society, and she said, listen, put in for it. You got nothing to lose. And she retired. I hadn't heard anything. And then next thing I know, an email comes back to write the curriculum for this sports history class. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to get 2 sections of teaching this. So I have it's a semester-based course. So I have the kids for 2 quarters, half the year basically. And then I get another batch. And they're like, build the curriculum. So I said, all right, I know where I'm starting. I'm going with Ken Burns baseball, episode 1, and I'm going from there. I'm going to talk about the growth of baseball, how it wasn't Doubleday, and get into the history. And, and then I said, my goal is to get these kids outside and actually play old time baseball. And they said, absolutely, you could do that. Just, be safe and all that other stuff. And a lot of people just like, well, what is old time baseball? And then when I tell them, they're fascinated by it. So it's been a great little tool. So, we cover all sorts of things about how sports and history are connected. I use the speech that James Earl Jones does from Field of Dreams, which is my favorite baseball movie. That and The League of Their Own are my top 2. And, talking about the connection of sports and history, he says, America has been built like an army of steamrollers, erased like a blackboard, rebuilt, erased again. But baseball has marked the time. And I tell the kids, I said, well, how erase baseball? Because a lot of them don't come in with, baseball as their favorite sport. Some of them like basketball, hockey. I said, take any sport. and tell me, how has sports been impacted by history? How has it marked the time? And I show the 2001 Game 3, George W. Bush throwing out the first pitch after 9/11 as a way to kind of introduce that connection. And I say, what does that say about the country? How did the crowd respond to George W. Bush? And we get into a nice discussion. We talk about the dream team, all sorts of things. So the class starts with baseball and the evolution of baseball. And I use the Ken Burns series to do that. Then I do a little lesson on the different rules of baseball and how they've evolved over time. And I said, all right, now we're going to put it into practice. Let's go outside. And I show them my Atlantic uniform, and I bring in the bats and the balls. And I don't let them use like our game use stuff that we have. I show them the ball, let them, touch it and say, hey, we use no gloves. And I use it's like an indoor baseball that they would use for the baseball teams they use. It's like that foam ball, but it travels enough, and they can catch it. And we use that just because I want to continue to be able to play old time baseball. We've got some kids, all variety of different ability levels, and I think it's been the most rewarding thing that I've done in teaching is being able to do this class. I pinch myself sometimes when I go into work because I say, I can't believe I'm getting to do this. So on the beautiful days, the kids eat it up. They say, can we go out and play baseball today? I was like, oh, come on, guys. We actually have to teach you some things in this class, but they want to just play old time baseball. It's been fantastic. So
it's wonderful to hear of a history teacher explaining the reality of baseball in that Doubleday didn't have anything to do with it. You're teaching the right history to kids, and they're hearing it for the first time. You see, they don't know any better. Just like when we were kids, when we're hearing things for the first time, we didn't know any better, and we're like, oh, Doubleday invented baseball. So at least you're teaching kids the right way, and I hope that you put every history teacher you come across in a headlock and demand that they teach about baseball the right way, so we can that'll get the wheel rolling on reality with everybody.
It's great.
Matt,
the kids have been very, very receptive to it, and it's funny to hear them use the terminology. They're saying, huzzah, good ginger. And then I show them the episode of Ken Burns where they talk about Candy Cummings and the curveball. And they to hear them use the reference, they make fun of each other. They're like, oh, okay, look, there's Candy Cummings. He's pitching over. I think they just it's fun to hear them use the lingo outside of vintage baseball. So it's fun.
That is wonderful. Matt, you were talking earlier while you were in Philadelphia. You took a Rocky tour. I know we spent a ton of time on Rocky, but I gotta ask, is there actually a Rocky tour?
There is.
Like a bus? Like you get on a small bus or something and you go from location to location?
So there's a gentleman that does tours. His name is Mike Kunda. You can find him on Instagram. It's called the Yo Rocky Film Tour. I'm actually scheduled to take a tour with him in February. We've become friendly through Instagram messaging back and forth, and he does a tour, and my friends did it because he was asking me same question you did. Now, when I toured Philly, I looked up. There's a site you can go to. I think it's called Total Rocky. I can send you the link after this, but it has a list of all of the addresses of everything you could want to go to. So through the years, I've seen Mighty Mick's gym a bunch of times, his apartment from Rocky 1 a bunch of times. We've seen last February, my nephew's birthday. I said, all right, what do you want for your birthday? It's like, well, what do you get these kids? It's like this. So I said, listen, how's this? I'll take you to Philly. We'll get cheesesteaks and I'll give you a Rocky tour. And we took them into see Mighty Mick's. We took them to Front Street Gym from Creed. We went to, this is kind of bizarre, but the cemetery that they have the headstones for Paulie and Adrian that he uses from Balboa and Creed. So you go into this cemetery and it's not with other headstones. They've got it like near the bathroom. So it's like you don't feel like you're being disrespectful by going in there to see it. And people have like a set of glasses on Adrian's tombstone. There's a liquor bottle on Paulie's, and it was really interesting to see. So we've seen that. We went to the church where Father Carmine gives him the blessing, Rocky 2 out that window. We saw that house that Paulie and Adrian lived in. We've seen a ton of the sites. But this guy, Mike, who does these tours, the Rocky impersonator, he won a contest, a lookalike of Sylvester Stallone contest, but he's got a great story. We're actually going to go on tour with him in February because I'm sure there's even more places that I didn't even know existed that I just want to eat it all up. So we're doing that in February. So I'll give you the review. And if you make it out to Philly, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I went out to Philly and we took in, I took the fam, we took in all the historic sites. So we did Independence Hall and Liberty Bell and all that stuff you really need to go see. If you go to Philadelphia, you got to see that stuff. And I didn't want to bore my family with Rocky too much. But we did go to the library steps, and I did, like so many people before me, run the steps. And I jumped around when I got to the top, and then I went over to the side there and got my picture taken with the statue. And I tell you what, I was on cloud nine. It was amazing. But that's all. I also fell in love with Philadelphia. Wow, I hate Philadelphia sports teams. So I really thought I went in with a negative attitude towards Philadelphia, and I'd have been just happy just to leave there and be like, all right, whatever, I did it. But damn, I loved Philadelphia. It was amazing. So I'm definitely going back, and this Rocky tour is right up my alley.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna buy tickets to a tour and not tell my wife, and we're just gonna go, and she's gonna have to deal with it.
Absolutely. Definitely
the Atlantics traveled to Frankenmuth, Michigan a few years ago for the Vintage Baseball Festival. Did you make that trip?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that trip out, but I heard about it. My good pal Jimmy, they call him Frenchie or the Cannon. I think he did that Mightiest Striker contest. He's
yes,
he's
did.
He's a good pal of mine. So I was sad to not be able to go, but when we go on these big trips, I knew we were doing Field of Dreams this summer, so I said, oh, all right, I got a budget. I got a budget for that the following summer. So I unfortunately couldn't make it out. But I've been to Michigan before. I was there for WrestleMania, WrestleMania 23. 23.
WrestleMania 23. I was there too.
There you
I
go.
had my boys in the crowd.
Yeah.
It was amazing how many people were around Ford Field before you got in, before they opened the doors. It was just blocks of people. And I saw like way off in the distance, the doors open finally, and there's the big cheer and everything. We didn't move for 45 minutes. That's how many people were there for WrestleMania. It was awesome.
That my friend and I we went because my friend, we're big Hulk Hogan fans. So we were at WrestleMania 18 when he fought The Rock. We went to Toronto for that. And we are kicking ourselves because we said, oh, let's go. If they ever go back to Detroit, WrestleMania 3 slammed Andre at the Silverdome. We wanted to go to the Silverdome just to see it. And I think we probably could have like even snuck in and gotten a piece of a seat because it was still up, I think, when 23 was going on. And then I think they destroyed it after that, right?
Yeah, it was up, but nothing was happening there.
Yeah. So like I just would have liked to have seen the site, but it was cool. Ford Field was something else to see. It was and that was the one where that was the hair versus hair for Trump, right?
Yes. Yes, it was Bobby Lashley against Umaga.
I joke with my students. I say, guys, I saw future president of the United States in a hair versus hair main event. I said, so got to see him tackle Vince McMahon. So that was funny. So good
and
stuff.
He threw some punches.
Yes.
And, But and he also took a stunner from Steve Austin.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so we talked about Hulk Hogan. We brought up wrestling. We usually keep wrestling for the end because people are like, don't talk about wrestling until the end of the episode. So if we don't get in 10 minutes of vintage baseball talk, people are going to lose their minds, but not me. This has been one of my favorite episodes that have ever happened on this show.
Yeah, I gotta agree. This is stellar.
I'm honored. Thank you, guys.
Matt, how did you come across vintage baseball?
So, vintage baseball, Dean, the Dream Bucket, Emma, and I work at a baseball camp in Smithtown. We've been doing that since high school. So I worked with him every summer, and eventually we became teammates on a softball team, which is going to be part of how I got the nickname Chaos. But that'll be, I'm going to have to let Dean explain that one because I still don't quite understand how I got that name, but I'm sure he has an explanation for it. But we were teammates on the softball team, and then he said, "Oh, you got to try this out. You're going to love it." And in 2009, the Atlantics were playing out at Orient Point, which is at the end of Long Island. And it was one of their sponsored events. They were bringing them out to Orient to play, and they needed some players. And he said, "Would you like to try this out?" And from that first moment, I was hooked. It was just such an incredible experience because I said, we played softball before, I played baseball before, but this was unlike anything I've ever done. So it was back in '09 that happened. And my wife, she was, she loved it too. She loves to, and that's been one of the great joys of doing vintage baseball is that my family has always been a part of it. They come with me to all the road trips. We've gotten to see some incredible cities, whether it be Boston, Philadelphia. We were in Pittsburgh when we went out west to play in Pittsburgh. We were in Minnesota and Field of Dreams. So they love coming on these trips with me, and it's just been an incredible experience. So it became a full-time Atlantic shortly after that. I think I helped them out a couple more times for a few more seasons, and then got asked to join the team. And that's how I got on the Atlantics through Mr. Emma.
So Mr. Emma is a pretty intense individual. How many games did it take you to match that intensity?
Well, first off, he's an awesome teammate, and he's an awesome friend, and but he has high expectations, and he's a person that expects things to be done. And I think part of my reason for being Chaos is when we're in rundowns, he's expecting me to do the right things, and sometimes your rundowns can be a little chaotic. So he goes, Chaos, what are you doing? So but we have fun, but he can help bring out the best in you, and there's I think no finer player in the vintage game. He's one of the best out there. So I'm honored to be his teammate, and I always feel good whether I'm pitching, knowing that I got Dream Bucket behind me playing defense. So he's great for that as well. So
Matt went to Hofstra University, the Flying Dutchman, until they changed their names to the Pride. Matt, why the name change?
Oh, geez. Let's see. So I think when I was there, they were the Pride, but they had just made the switch. And I think it's part of all of the name changes that have been going on. Like right now, all Long Island schools are changing from Native American, anything that has to relate to Native Americans. They're trying to get rid of it. So Chiefs, Warriors, all those teams are now looking to, being forced to change. Some of them are fighting it in courts. I think with the Dutchman, it goes back to possibly the slave trade. I believe something to that effect. And they decided to change to the Pride, and I think that was the rationale with that.
The Flying Dutchman, isn't that the ship that is in the Pirates of the Caribbean where what's his name?
Davy
Keira
Jones.
Knightley. Orlando Bloom has to be the captain of it after they kill Davy Jones, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Rudy, do you have any other questions for Matt before we give him the old pepper? And then after, so this is how this is gonna go, Matt. We're gonna end the episode and we're gonna do a little thing we do. It's giving you the old pepper. It's just a bunch of quick questions with quick answers. It's rapid fire. And then after that, everyone's going to be free to leave the episode and not listen anymore as we talk Miami Dolphins football.
Yes, that's great.
To be a little bonus time for people. Rudy, when we're done giving him the old pepper, you can go home because we're talking Miami Dolphins football, and I'm going to keep it recording on the audio. If you want to stop the video and go home, you go right ahead. It'll be an audio only presentation. The Miami Dolphins will. And but I think we got 15 minutes of intense Miami Dolphin talk that we need to get to. So do you have any other question, Rudy? Do you have any other questions for Matt before we go with the
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Matt, there's so much, as Barrel Roller says, meat on the bone. And I know you've talked about Dream Bucket, TC, the Atlantic. So naturally, that triggered some questions in me that I wanted to ask you. What's your favorite Rocky training montage?
Let's see. Training montage.
Matt, this has got to be Rocky IV in the snow, the cabin. Come on.
That's what I said. Yeah, four. Doing the military press with Adrian and Paulie.
Heck yeah.
That's it. Going up the mountain screaming Drago. I mean, you get 2 for the price of 1 in that movie. You get 2 training montages.
That's true.
And that completes my questions.
That was an amazing question, though. That's why Rocky IV is the best of them. Here we go. Welcome to the party, pal. All right.
Oh, yeah.
It's Die Hard season, if I'd have known that Matt, you were going to be like a brother to me after this episode, because we are in simpatico. What's the word? Simpatico.
Yeah.
Simpatico.
Yeah.
Of everything. Die Hard, Rocky, the Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia. I'm very disappointed I didn't have a lot of Die Hard to go over with you. Anyway, Matt, I will tell you this before I give you this list. We were so close a couple of years ago. In fact, Matt, if you go back in the archives, we actually do an audio reading of a book, A Very Die Hard Christmas, or whatever the name was. I don't remember the name of the book, but it's a book, something like that. And then we've had a Die Hard watch along. We've had many Die Hard episodes on here.
That's
if you go
fantastic.
back in the archives.
That's fantastic. I'll have my annual viewing of that movie quite soon. It's going to be fantastic. So it's great.
All right, here we go. Giving you the old pepper. If you were forced to eat a box of crayons, what is the first color you would start with?
Red.
What is your favorite horror movie?
To me, Jaws is a horror movie.
Yes,
because I don't swim in a pool comfortably or the beach. I go up to my knees. I'm still afraid of Jaws.
Absolutely. I believe you're a New York Yankees fan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Name me an overrated New York Yankee from any time. A New York Yankee where everyone's like, that guy wasn't that good, and you'd be like, yeah,
oh my God.
You might be right on that one.
There's about 100 we could list. I mean, Giancarlo is one of them right now. He has not delivered very well for that. Rodon, that was a bust. Jason Giambi was one that he had a few good years with them, but they never won anything in those years when he was here. So Those are ones right off the top of my mind, off of the top of my head.
Okay.
Yep.
The answer was Derek Jeter. Okay. Are you allergic to
Oh, come on. Derek Jeter. Come on.
No, Derek Jeter was a very good baseball player. Very good. There's no argument on that. But
Yes.
he's overrated
How
for
can I
what he
mute
was.
you? How I can't mute you
No,
on this thing.
I'm not saying he was
can't.
bad. I'm not even saying he was just good. He was very good.
No, we hear
But
what
for
you're
the
saying.
reputation he
No,
has,
you,
it's wrong.
you
He's
don't need to
not
explain
that
it.
good.
We heard you.
All right. Matt, are you allergic to anything? Matt, what is your shoe size?
It depends. Certain brands it fit differently, but I'm about 12 is probably the most common. Dress shoes is like an 11 and a half.
What is the favorite baseball card you've ever had?
Can I do a football card? Because a Dan Marino rookie card. Does that count? Or do you want me to
It counts
keep it
to me.
baseball?
It counts
Okay.
to me, but I want to hear the baseball.
The Canseco rookie card.
What is your favorite vegetable?
I like broccoli, but probably corn. I'm thinking corn is probably that's the one I would like the best.
What is your second favorite color?
Navy blue.
What is your favorite wood for a baseball bat?
Whatever one toothpick used for the last bat that he made for me. I gotta ask him. Mr. Toothpick Ness makes my bats, so I forgot what he used. Whatever he used, it worked well when we went out west. So I'll say whatever he used.
Next question. Are we alone?
Are we alone? Well, I've got my son sitting next to me, so I've got that. Are you talking about aliens and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm talking about in the universe. Are we alone?
Oh boy, I sure hope not. There are some strange people that make me question: are they alien or not? I teach them every single day. They stare at me every morning. So, how's that?
Who is your most hated Major League Baseball player?
Most hated Major League Baseball. Oh, Altuve. Not even close.
Oh, good one. Who was your favorite Muppet?
Favorite Muppet, Kermit.
I believe for Halloween you dressed up like Rocky. Am I right?
Many times. And my boys just did it this past year.
What is the last costume you wore on Halloween that wasn't Rocky related?
Probably Hulk Hogan related.
Oh, nice. Where have you gotten the best Philly cheesesteak while you're in Philadelphia?
Just this past weekend, we went to a place called Sonny's, which is not far from the Liberty Bell and from Independence Hall. It's right down the road. So a friend of mine who's a big food connoisseur, we've tried a bunch in Philly. We've done Pat's and Geno's. This one, by far, this was the best one I've had. So this was great.
Tell us your perfect pizza.
Oof. We've tried. We're big fans of the guy that does Dave Portnoy, who does the Barstool Pizza reviews. So as part of our Atlantic trips, we've gone to some of his highest rated pizza places. So we've done John's of Bleecker. So I like crispy crust, but I'm a sausage guy. I like sausage. But I apologize. All right, here's my favorite slice of all time. It's a place called Prince Street Pizza, and they've got something called the Spicy Spring, and they have that pepperoni that cups up. It's got a Fra Diavolo sauce, so it's got a little kick to it, and it's a square slice. That's my favorite slice of all time.
And finally, give us your Mount Rushmore of New York Yankees.
Oh, it's tough not to go with Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio. Mickey Mantle is probably the fourth, but he's not my favorite for some reason. I think it's because my grandpa always used to give me stories of Joe DiMaggio, and for whatever reason, my grandpa never liked Mickey Mantle. I don't know why, but he used to hold a grudge against Mickey Mantle. I think because he was the up and coming guy, and DiMaggio had to give up his spot to him. So, but you can't argue with those four. But I do love Mariano Rivera's. So I love him, but he doesn't come close to that top four. Those are the top four.
Yeah, no mention of Derek Jeter in there. Rudy, do you have any parting words for Matt before we let most of the world go?
Yeah. You know what? It has been, this just confirms that, I have not met an Atlantic baseball player, that I just don't immediately take a liking to. And Matt, it has been a pleasure to get to know you, to get to talk to you. And I mean, this has been one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you so much. It was an honor talking to you as well. And thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
All right, Rudy, you can go home.
All right, listen. No, but let me just say this. If you're watching on the YouTube channel and you want to see this love fest continue, hop on over, download the podcast episode, listen to it. But I got my eyes on you. He's mine, Matt. All right.
All right.
I don't like what's going on here, barrel roller.
All right. So for 75% of the people, goodbye to the episode, and to the 25% that are sticking around.